speak to people through the ethers. So, one of the practices we could do inside, and this is why it's fun, with the family, where you can just take on. Let's just take on, on Saturday where everyone's going to put their phones in the drawer and we're going to practice our telepathy. Well, it doesn't have to be telepathy. You can practice speaking Spanish. You can practice speaking whatever language you want to. You can practice art. You can do puzzles. You can do whatever you want, but create that day no one is going to have their phone available, or we're not going to turn on the television. I actually grew up with my children, or raised my children with the conversation that you only had 2 hours a day with the television, and you had to share 1 hour of that with your Nintendo, And, of course,
or Atari.
Or whatever that, back then, right? I think he had a Nintendo. But 2 hours was it.
Right.
And so but we played a lot of games and we meditated together and we did things together, and I wanted to be in the space of my children because I enjoyed their company. And we have to get back to that, where we really get to be present to the joy of each other. We don't even know that joy because we come in, we turn on the TV, we got to do 1,000 things, and then it's time to go to bed.
Yeah, it's interesting that you're talking about telepathy. The one thing about the natural advent of having these phones that you can send a text and it goes to the other side of the world in a matter of seconds is preparing us for the ability that we have. Example, today I was walking. I took a 5-mile walk this morning, and on my way back, out of nowhere, a thought came to my mind about this particular person. I get to my office, and I get a text from another friend who said to me, "Are you aware that so-and-so is ill?" And that same so-and-so, the thought came to my mind, how is she? And I'll say, wow, so we can really, what technology is showing us that we have the ability, because all technology is something natural that can manifest spiritual. And we can learn how to do that. It really is.
Yes, and we need to practice it. We need to practice it. That's really all that means. And how do we practice it? Because, I don't believe in throwing out the baby with the bathwater,
right.
But I do believe in developing as much of our human capacity as we can. I think it was really a gift to break my hip, thigh, and knee when I was 17 because I discovered something about myself that most people don't know, and that is that my body responds to my conversation. My body responds to my thoughts, my feelings. So when I want to heal, I have to change my thoughts and my energy. I don't go take something unless I really, really like, okay, I'm stuck. Let me go get something. And I call for help.
Right.
Yeah, but usually I don't. I usually don't do anything. I really do use nutrients. So, if I got a cold, I go to that cinnamon and honey right quick, which I don't do get colds like that. But, I really
I'm the
go
same
to
way.
Nutrition.
Yeah.
Mhm. Everything
as a child,
that I use. Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Yeah, as a child, I had asthma really bad, but I just couldn't fathom why would the Creator create me as a little boy, can't run and play in the grass, can't have a dog. And I had this conversation in a field at about 10. And lo and behold, by the time I was 17, I had learned how to master my body in such a way, even to this day, I seldom get sick. In the 25 years, I have not had a cold. Just because I don't allow it. It's the mindset.
Exactly. It's a mindset. And it literally is an amazing experiment to do with yourself. And when you do it with yourself, you automatically teach your children because they look and see. They look and see how you are. My children are so resilient and strong. We don't do the emergency room. We literally, with the exception, of the challenges that we have with my one grandson, but that, again, I believe that that's a gift so that we can learn how to work through it so that we can teach other people.
On another level.
I don't see it. Yeah, it's a whole nother level because so many people are dealing with it. So the universe said, okay, we're going to give this child here so that we can show people that we can even overcome that. And I know it to be true.
I have a burning question. I know we're right at about 10 minutes out, but there's a burning question I had that may spark some responses from our listeners there. Isn't the church, it is not the church's responsibility for addressing our spiritual needs? How do you address that? Is it the church's primary, is that our primary role or dependency on the church?
That's a very loaded question, and right. Here's what's real, right? Here's what's real for me. Church is about really the centering place where you love and nurture and support your divine being. So that's not about a building. That's about a self, right? So when we're looking at what church is, it's about the people that all come together inside of a conversation about nurturing and supporting the divine being. Our churches right now have strayed away from that. Yes. Unfortunately, they don't want us to all know that we are divine beings. There is this hierarchy in society that wants to control instead of allowing people to flourish. So we can't have a dependency on the church because the church is not there to have us flourish. The church is there to control. The church is very much a federal institution. They are most churches are funded by the government, so the government tells them what to do and literally tells them what to teach us. So there's nothing empowering in the church right now. And we really want to be careful because if we're paying attention, our children are being harmed there. And this is not across the board. I'm not saying across the board. And I like what Timothy Glenn said the other day when he said, the church is the first place where people even begin to look at having a spiritual conversation. So it does serve a beginner's purpose. It's a beginner's purpose. But if you've been going to church all your life and you haven't started developing a leadership capacity and you're codependent, then that means that you're not developing inside of a conversation that truly knows that the energy of God is flowing through you. And then there's something that we're responding to in that. What is our purpose beyond that? Because the church can only do so much even when it's functioning at a high level.
And it's interesting that you mentioned those things because we have yet to really look at the evolution of let's talk about the African American or the black church. It was birthed out of enslavement, a system that these individuals did not understand the language. And that's why when you look at the early church, it was heavy on performance. When you look at many churches today are still heavy on performance, and a sense of dependency is being taught versus teaching people how to tap in, tune in to God inside versus God on the outside. And church really should be about community, a common unity that we have, a place of celebration, and a place of we leave their charge and we live it out, a call to action. So I see something large is going on in the community now. There's a big falling away from the church, and a lot of church folk don't know that, but there's a book by an individual by the name of George Barna, B-A-R-N-A, and he specializes in Protestant church research. And he says there's a major falling away, and even though we have mega churches, all it is those who left the smaller churches come into the larger churches. So there's not really a true new birth coming into what we call traditional Christianity.
So there's this book called Yorugu. And you have to look for Greg to help. You remember we talked about
I have it. That's Maribima and I.
Marimba Ani.
Yeah, let's put that out there because that really does talk about the relationship of churches, Christianity with African Americans, and how that whole system evolved and why it's important for us to get back inside of our own spiritual leadership. You know, and when we begin to understand that, we'll stop looking. We don't need to blame. You don't need to make a difference by blaming. We can make a difference out of conscious choice. We can see that there's something different that needs to be done. So we don't have to worry about what has already been done. We can just create what there is that needs to be created. We don't have to tear down. We can just create. Yeah. So most of the time,
I love that.
Yeah. We just need to understand what it is that's going on, and then say, oh, well, why don't we create this? You know, and do
I love that. I love that. That's a very balancing energy that you're sharing, and I'm very grateful that you're saying that inside of the context of build and destroy, inside of the context of recognizing that we can observe what needs to occur, and then we can create inside of that observation. I love that.
Yes.
I want to let you know, Mu Shemsu-t, first of all, thank you for who you are and everything that you are, because right now what we're doing is we're wrapping up.
Wow.
We are wrapping up. So,
wow. Okay. It's that time already.
Can you imagine
oh,
that?
Yes, it is.
I know we've just been flowing and going and going and flowing. And before we at all, wrap this whole thing up, I want you to say how people can get in touch with you. And I also want you to share your thoughts because, we're coming to the end of something really awesome, this stimulating conversation that we started those many years ago, and now we're still at it inside of this solstice time and inside of planting these seeds. So please share from your heart.
Yeah, so I want to thank the people that are behind the scenes that make this happen for us and have from the beginning. Leela Woodward. I mean, that girl, my goodness, I just love her. She has been producing this. This is our fourth segment. She's been producing this, and everybody that has been on this show is a volunteer, and everyone is giving participating with us out of the goodness of their heart. It is a gift to the community. So I want Lita to know that I am so grateful for her. And this year she brought into our domain Dominique, who assisted us, and I'm sure Dominique will assist us in the future as well. And then, of course, my amazing daughter-in-law, Monica Palmer. She takes care of all of the editing, and she manages the websites. And then who helps her from time to time is Adrian Tyus. And then let me see, who am I missing? And then I have to shout out to Janice Bond, who was our first host when we started in 2011. And then the speakers that we had this week. We had Nico David, we had Kavan Ware, Timothy and Jaquay Glenn, Catrice White-Scott, and then, of course, Greg and Iccha. You have did a phenomenal job. I just can't say enough about the chemistry that you guys have produced together inside of making this happen this week, and how easy it has been to work with you guys. I mean, did I say how easy it has been?
Wow.
Because that is so wonderful. I mean, to get to the end of something and be like, oh, it's over, and, I think I said the other day that I am fulfilled and satisfied. So I just want to thank you guys for that. And, wow, we started this as a conversation to make sure that people had energy going into the winter solstice, and that they knew to be still and allow their download, and to know that we love them and that we're doing this because we do love them. And if they could just take any bit of what we're sharing and make a difference for themselves and their families, we will have did what we wanted to do. And if anyone wants to get in touch with me, I have a Mu Shemsu-t Transformation fan page out there. I am also on Facebook as Rita Stewart. MuShemsu.com is my website, and then also Master Force Inc. So we will post all of those to our Ignite Your Soul Connection fan page. I just love you guys. We have some amazing things starting with the new year, and I just want to say Greg and I will be starting a radio show for